We're going to do day one of the yoga challenge, and it is tree pose. In yoga, the main connection point we want to have is to the breath. I always teach it, on an inhale you get length, and on an exhale you get depth. Hey buddy, you coming to help me teach? Thanks, dude. So for tree pose, which this is one version of it, I'm going to go over a bunch of versions. On length, we're thinking about the spine. So on an inhale for length, you want to think like there's a string coming through the top of your head and pulling you really tall. So in tree pose, you could be here, and you want to think inhale, get all that length, lifting your chest, lifting the crown of your head. And on an exhale, you get depth, which a lot of times in tree pose, we're going to look at relaxing the shoulders and then grounding into that foot that's on the floor. Sometimes we tend to rock toward the ball of the foot, and you want to think about your foot being like a triangle with the point at the back, and each corner of that triangle, as you exhale, think about grounding all of that into the floor. So inhale for length, exhale for depth. I want to talk about this hip. A lot of times in single leg balancing poses, we jut our weight like this. Take that hip and line it right up. So it comes right over the knee and it's right under the head. So here's your tree pose, rather than there's your tree pose. One of the main challenges of tree pose is not getting obsessed with nailing the balance, but more maintaining a calm breath. So you can fall out of tree pose 17 times and it's still tree pose. What we don't want to do is every time you fall, get frustrated, have a little temper tantrum, get angry with yourself, and then come back. Especially if you're in a class and if you have maybe 30 seconds to work on this tree pose, you'll want to work on, if you fall, inhale, exhale, come back in calmly. Even if in 30 seconds you do that 30 times, that's still tree pose. I'm going to run through a spectrum of options for a tree pose. And I want you to try to refrain from thinking of this spectrum as the first one is the beginner level and then the last one is the goal, because that's just simply not how yoga works. The comparison, if you're a lifter, is so if you start with deadlifting the 45-pound bar, but your gym has 1,000 pounds of plates available, you don't think of that 1,000 pounds of plates being the goal because it's an available option. It is an option, it is not necessarily where you're even interested in ending up. If you struggle a little bit with balance, I would have a wall behind you, and you could even be in a corner, so there's a wall also beside you. So that at any point you could tap your finger to the wall or lean on the wall rather than tap your foot down, if that helps you build up endurance in your leg. So round one, we're going to plant the triangle of that foot. I'm going to take the ball of my foot and my toes on the floor and then put the arch of my foot and my heel against my leg. Hands are going to come center or be tapping the wall. Breath in, get that length. Exhale, think about dropping the shoulders and grounding into the floor. And then check here. Do you feel at all challenged? I'm the instructor, so we know I can do all the levels I'm going to show you today. I'm working right here, because if you're really focusing on grounding and not letting this hip jet out and maintaining some breath, this is going to be challenging. If you want more of a challenge, we're just going to take that foot and bring it up to the calf. Hands come center. Deep breath in. Get that length. Exhale, drop shoulders. Check that hips tucked under. Maybe hands are tapping the wall. Again, if you're tapping down 1,000 times and coming back to it, that's still tree pose. Next level of tree pose, I'm going to use my hands to get into it. I lift this foot up to my inner thigh, as high on that inner thigh as I can get it. Release the hand and come here. And again, this one I really start to feel the temptation to jut that hip out, pull it under. Hands could be on the wall behind. And then for final level, again, I have to use my hands to get into this one. It's a pigeon tree. So this one, we tuck the foot up into the hip crease and then drop the knee toward the floor. Sometimes we just do single hand here. Sometimes we pull both hands. Then I'm gonna look at some further advancements. If all of that felt pretty chill, pick a level you want to work with. I'm gonna go with inner thigh, hands are center, deep breath and get that length. Exhale, shoulders back and down, ground into that triangle of your foot, pull that hip under. Maybe we're holding here, maybe we take hands up overhead. If that feels cool, maybe we lean toward that knee. Inhale, up center. Exhale, maybe we lean away from that knee. Inhale, up center. And we always look to release out of this on purpose. So if you fall out, ideally we come back in and then just release with intention. Obviously you're going to do the other side. You have to have the pose look the same on each side. You want to have it feel the same. So if one leg is way more stable than the other, feel free to go for a higher option on this new side as long as you're challenging yourself to the same level. The amount of time you hold that pose is very independent. So I'm going to go with breaths. We're going to aim to hold tree pose for between 5 and 10 breaths. And you really want to think, keep those breaths long. Each time think, inhale, get that length. Exhale, get that depth. If you fall out of it 10 times in 10 breaths, great. If you make it to 10 breaths and you're still feeling pretty chill and you want to stay for longer, go ahead and stay for longer. If you want the other people joining this challenge to see that you're in this challenge, just use the hashtag and invitation to asana. But obviously feel free to join this challenge on your own without any photo evidence and just be practicing the yoga.